Hello everyone. I apologize for the mess that you see on the screen. This is what happens when you get an allergy attack during printing. Anyway, I would squeeze the tubes and then sneeze. Squeeze the tubes and then sneeze. Rinse, lather, and repeat. So I didn't think you needed to see that. But I'm going to start with a layer of raw sienna, and this is probably the last few drops left, and just roll this as evenly as I can. And I hope the antihistamines are going to last throughout this session. It's not fun to have allergies. This is allergy season. Okay, just trying to get the thicker areas to lay flat. This might take a little bit of doing because, as you know, the bottom of the bottle or the tube, sometimes the mixture paint is uneven. Sometimes the extenders separate, and I have been adding a little water just to help the contents to get out of its container. Okay, so that is the first layer. Now, instead of using my stick here for scribbles, I will use a Q-tip. And Q-tips leave a thicker mark. So I'm going to do different kinds of marks. It's creating texture here. So that's using the Q-tip for my marks. Then I use my stick for my usual scribbles. What this does, it just creates textures. Okay. Again, I'm using my Strathmore, which I like a lot because it's very sturdy. It's quite heavy compared to my other printing papers. Just make sure it's registered. So this is the first layer that has a lot of marks on it. And then I will decide how many layers I'm going to build up from it. So this way, the mark making is already built in. I don't have to figure out what to add on top. Once you have your first layer and your markings, then it guides me to the rest of the composition. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this for 5 minutes and I'll be right back. Okay, let's see what we got for a first layer. It looks like the paint has transferred very well, and the marks have transferred very well. There's hardly any left. Okay, so this is a good first layer. And I was following this old sketch from a sketchbook. And it's just 2 circles, one larger, one smaller, and then some lines. So as you can see, it's a reverse. So that's my guide. So I will air dry this and then decide the next layers for this piece. So be back in a few. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the first layer to dry, here is a round brush that I'm going to use instead of a Sharpie. It's a little rugged from use, but that's okay. I'm going to make a mix of Mars Black, not too much, and then I will add just a teaspoon of water. So what happens is this consistency is more like an ink. It's a little liquid. And I will proceed to draw some lines, straight lines, curved lines, etc. as a second layer. And the oil content of the plate creates these textures. Okay, that is my second layer, and I will air dry it with my desk fan. And I'll be back when this is dried and decide what the next layer will be. Okay, I'm back from a short break. The desk fan did a great job. Now, actually, here's a clear view of the circles. So you can see the oil content of the gel plate creates these textures, which I like. Now, the theme of this piece is circles on one side and lines on the other. I'm going to reverse it and have circles of oil on this side and then lines on this side. And again, I'm using a mixture of Vaseline and baby oil. So I'll start with the lines here. Varying the sizes of the lines to make it a little more interesting. And then I'll do my circular shapes here. Okay. So that's it for the oil resist. Now I will try something very bright like cadmium red. And then some red oxide on the edges. And then I will be rolling the brayer in a north-south direction, like so. Let me start with the red. And again, I'm not pressing at all. I'm just gliding the brayer gently. Now, since this is an oil resist, I'm not worried that the acrylic will dry, because I think somehow the oil helps to keep the acrylic wet. Okay. So here is the first layer, the yellow layer. Let me get these out of the way. Better safe than sorry, I always say. Now in these kinds of printing processes, it's very critical to have good registration. I want to make sure that all the layers line up as they should. And I'm not pressing very hard because I want to create as many textures as possible. Sometimes when you press too hard, the texture disappears, becomes flat. So I will leave this for 5 minutes. Okay, let's see what we got here. I see some of the black marks didn't transfer too well, but I like the result. Now I can try to capture the black marks on a different print, and it won't go to waste. Okay. So I will use, this is Arctic. Let's see. And titanium, unbleached titanium. Now this time, by contrast, I am pressing harder on the brayer. So what the brayer does, it flattens out the layer of paint, because these paints come straight out of the tube and are a little heavier in consistency. a little thicker. I'm also pressing very hard with the heel of my palm to create maximum contact. Now, had this been on a printing press, I wouldn't need to do this. But we don't have a printing press, so I'm making do. Okay, so back in 5 minutes. Okay, it's been actually over 5 minutes. Let's see how well the transfer is. I think it transferred very well. Usually the ghost print is more successful than the first pull, as you can see. Now I know why it's called a ghost print, because these images seem to appear out of nowhere, or they finally show up where they were not visible in the first pass or the first pull. Okay, check this out. I think the result is pretty wild, and I didn't expect to have it all combined like this, so I'm pretty happy about this. In fact, I don't think this needs anything more because it has so much going on. So I will air dry this and then recap and show you the two prints, one contrasting to the other. Okay, I can't leave well enough alone, as you well know, and I do think that this first print needs a third layer, and I'm thinking of introducing some of this Arctic, which is a very pale blue, and just to add to the drama, some phthalo blue. So I will use another layer of oil resist. Now I will be doing the oil resist here on this side. Okay. Then I will have the Arctic on the edges for contrast. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm not going to use phthalo blue. I will use black. So this is an example. I can change my mind at a moment's notice. I'm hoping this will add interesting contrast. So here is the print with the second layer of red. Now I don't need to press too hard because I laid the color very heavily. Okay, let's see what we have here. Cool. It adds just enough contrast. I like that. It's a little misregistered, but hey, it still looks good. Check this out. And maybe unconsciously I was doing a number 8, which is my favorite number. So I will air dry this and then recap with the two prints together. I think this ghost print is too good to waste. So I will do a third layer. I mean, not a third layer, a third print using chrome orange Blickcrylic. And hopefully this Blickcrylic will pull the ghost print well. It usually does, because I find that even if it is a student grade paint, it has its advantages. Well, first of all, it's not expensive. It's very affordable compared to other paint. It comes in a big quantity, which is 1 pint. A pint is a lot of paint and will last you a long time. And the third reason is the mixture of the paint. It contains a lot of extenders, which actually helps to pick up the ghost print very well. Okay, let's see. So far so good with this experiment with Strathmore. It's really a watercolor paper, but I find that for jelly printing, it's very good choice. It's sturdy. It has a good tooth on it because it's cold press watercolor. So it creates these interesting textures. And it doesn't tear easy. Okay, I'll leave this for another 5 minutes. Give me a chance to tidy up a little bit. Okay, let's see what we got here. I think I picked up an interesting ghost. It's not complete, but it's still a good image. What do you think? It's a variation of the one that precedes it. And the number 8 is still very clear. So I may decide to just leave this alone and make it a standalone. So it's a series of 3 prints with a common theme of the number 8. Okay, everyone. Back after a short break and allowing these guys to dry. Here is a close-up of the print. Let's take a look at the oil resist. I think the textures are really intense. I'm glad I added that third layer. It gives it a lot of life and some action here. I don't have the usual scribble marks, so instead of the scribbles, it's the texture itself that gives the print some interest. They're quite intricate. Okay, so is the first print. Now this one has 3 layers on it. Here's the second print, which is a ghost print. And this is the one that picked up the black circles. So this one has the lines and circles. As you can see, even after the third pull, the oil resist still works. I think that's because it's a mix of baby oil and Vaseline, so it really clings to the plate and creates these interesting textures. So there you have it. These are the 3 ghost prints today. That is what makes every printing session an adventure. So thank you for coming along for the ride and joining me for this printmaking session. Thank you for subscribing and for watching. Please share this with your friends. Give me a thumbs up. And for those who can, please lend some support to my PayPal to keep this channel going. And I hope to see you next time.